Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to go over merge shapes or merge drawings versus object drawings. So, I've got a blank flash stage here set up, a blank movie stage, and I'll just go ahead and work on this first layer, but I'm going to go ahead and label it as merge shapes. So a merge shape can be done very easily with the rectangle shape tool or the oval shape tool or stars. There's a few of them, but I'll go ahead and start with a rectangle since that's what I already have selected. If I click and hold my rectangle tool, I'll see the other options available to me. I'm going to keep it at the default rectangle tool. That's keystroke R. And I'm going to get a fill color that is green, and a stroke color or border color that's red. And I can see over my properties inspector my stroke is pretty big, so I'm going to knock that down to about a 5. So now that I have my rectangle tool, I have the colors that I want for fill and stroke, and I am on frame 1 of the layer that I want to work with. I can just click and drag and draw rectangles. And if I hold down my my shift key as I'm clicking and dragging, then I'll get a square-shaped rectangle or square. So those are merge shapes. And at a glance, you can't really tell that they're merge shapes, but there's a couple ways you can tell that a drawing is a merge drawing. If I use my selection tool, and if I click once on a merge drawing, I'll see a bunch of little dots. That's a telltale sign that what I've selected is a merge shape or a merge drawing. And by clicking on this merge drawing once, I've selected the fill. The fill is selected, not the stroke. If I were to hit the delete key, only the fill is deleted. If I click on the border, notice I've only selected the top border here, and I could just delete that top border. If I double click on the border, I've selected all 4 sides, and I could delete all of the border. I'm going to go and Control Z several times to undo these actions. So I can double click on the border to modify the border or delete it or change its color. You know, I could change the stroke color now to purple, and now that red border has gone to purple. Or I could simply change one component, or I could change or delete the fill or change that color. So that's one of the characteristics, very noticeable characteristics, of a merge drawing. Now the other thing, and the reason it's called merge, is because if I take one merge drawing and overlap it with another merge drawing, they will merge together and become one. So I'm going to go ahead and click and hold my rectangle tool. I'll change this over to an oval tool, and I'll just change my colors here a little bit. I'll do a gray fill. Give myself an oval, use my selection tool, and if I double click on the fill, I select the entire shape. I'm going to click and drag that. It's going to overlap this square. Click away to deselect. This is now one merge shape. Check this out. If I were to double click, select the oval, and delete it, it has taken away that portion of the square. One of the benefits, or perhaps annoyances, of a merge drawing. Good thing about this is it actually saves bytes, smaller file size. Why have bytes for something that you can't see? This would also be a useful tool. Check this out. If I use, let's say, orange, and I'm going to say no stroke, got an oval here. I need to be on frame 1 there. Make sure I got my oval tool selected. Okay, so now I've got a sphere, a circle, and I could use another color real quick. And I'll draw another one over here. Use my selection tool. Have one overlap the other. Deselect just by clicking in a blank area. Click on the overlapping one, delete it. And I now have a crescent shape that maybe would have been tough for me to make otherwise. I could use my selection tool, and I could enhance this a little bit. Just change those bends. And now I've got even more of a crescent shape. So a merge shape made it pretty easy to create this resulting shape. So that's a merge shape or a merge drawing. I use those two terms kind of interchangeably there. Go ahead and select this and delete it. Okay, so that's a merge shape. I'm going to go ahead and create another layer here, even though that's an empty layer now. I'll go ahead and call this drawn object. Let me jump back over to frame 1 of my merge shape, and I'll put a merge shape back up there. There we go. There's a merge shape. Let me go over to my drawn object layer, and to make a drawing as a drawn object as opposed to a merged shape, I can still use my same oval tool or rectangle tool, but I can click this button down here in my drawing toolbar. It's down here in the lower portion. Notice it's keystroke J. My toolbar, object drawing. I click this and now it's pressed in. So if I were to draw another oval, they look very, very similar, but they are different. If I use my selection tool and I click on a drawn object, notice that I don't get all those little dots, but I get a little square or border around that drawn object to show me that it's been selected. If I click on a merge shape, I get all those little dots. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hide my merge shapes layer just by changing that. Go to my drawn objects layer, deselect, change my color out to something else. Make sure I got my oval tool, and I'll do an overlap here with my selection tool. Now with drawn objects, two drawn objects can overlap each other without deleting data, without cutting out portions of that overlapped shape. So that's one of the nice things about drawn objects. Now you can still work with drawn objects like they are merged shapes. All you have to do is double click on them and then you'll be able to work with that drawn object just like it's a merged shape. Notice I double click, I'm inside of that drawn object and I can work with it like it's a merged shape. When I'm done with it, I can jump back over to my scene 1 and it's now back to a drawn object. So just a little bit with merged shapes and drawn objects.